wakiti. This is the sound I heard every morning when growing up from my very animated older sister. It's a greeting from Africa. I'm a proud Zulu woman. You are Indian, you are American, you are European, you are Chinese. All of us are human, but we all have different cultures. Today, I would like to speak to us about the importance of preserving our cultures. I came across a sobering statistic that one language dies every 14 days, and that by the end of this century, half of the 7,000 languages spoken on earth will cease to exist. This is because more people are moving towards speaking English, Spanish, and Mandarin. It's true that the world is going through globalization, and we are all moving towards one culture and one language. I grew up in the valleys of Zululand in South Africa and had the best of all childhoods. Growing up, I played in the mountains with my brothers and sisters. We sang traditional songs. I helped my mother tend to the land, and together we made beaded artworks. At night, we would sit around the fire as mother and father told stories about our heritage. And so, I grew up with my head and heart filled with love for Zulu culture. This is the same place that King Shaka Zulu also grew up in. So now, I would like to invite you to my village. Please come to my village, because my village is your village. We all live in one global village. As a Zulu woman, part of my culture, or part of my belief, is in Ubuntu. And it is that I welcome you, that I honor you, and that I respect you. Come, please come into my mother's beautiful heart. She has made a fire. There is a smell of smoke. She is also cooking a goat stew with dumpling. Please, the men can sit on my right on the wooden stools, and the women and children can sit on my left on the reed mats that mother has woven. As you can see, my mother is a picture of an African woman. She wears isitwaba, a traditional Zulu skirt, and on her head, she wears a crown that we call isicholo. It is a Zulu head. My mother is barefoot, and she is carrying a child on her back. But she also wears a beautiful smile that is loving and nurturing. She is also our teacher, because she understands the importance of passing on culture to her 9 children. As children, we loved to listen to stories, and especially when mother would begin to sing for us. We waited for parts where we could also sing along. The start of a song ensured that we were all on our feet, dancing, singing, and laughing. And at the end of the song, we would be rolling on the floor, tears gushing down our faces, not able to stop laughing. Growing up, we listened to many stories, but we also listened to stories about our history. We listened to stories about culture and heritage. We listened to stories about the land and how to nurture it. But we also listened to stories about Ubuntu, love, and respect. But importantly, we were taught to pass these cultures to our children so they may pass the same cultures and traditions to their children from generation to generation and so forth. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the beautiful African village that I grew up in. Life was simple. It was full of spirit, but it was also very authentic. But at 17, I left my humble village and found myself in Johannesburg, a small girl in a big city. I stepped off the minibus at Gandhi Square in downtown Johannesburg with my clothes crammed into my brother's old suitcase. Until now, I had never seen a building taller than 2 stories. So I stood there amazed. And there were people all around me. It seemed everybody was busy. No one would even stop to greet me like we did in the village. People were just whizzing all around me, and I was wondering where are all these people rushing to. I stood there fascinated. Now you must understand, until now, my life had been guided by my parents' wise decision. But blinded by bright city lights and materialism, I closed my eyes to the lessons of my culture and those of my parents. I got lost as I was spending all my time trying to mimic the Johannesburg woman, someone who I saw as in control. She was glamorous. She knew her story. She was outgoing. She was calculating. But I also saw that she was very aggressive. Well, I had to really think about this because I thought I'm none of these things. In fact, I'm very soft-natured. I'm quiet. I'm shy. I'm extremely private. And most of my friends consider me a little bit boring. Months and years were coming to pass, and still I did not feel like this city girl. Why? Because I was trying to be something I was not. One day, I was invited by a friend to be one of her bridesmaids. The brief was simple, that we all had to wear long, shiny weaves. And so I refused. And so she dropped me. She dropped me, and when I asked for an explanation, she said that, Thandi, you cannot be my bridesmaid. But listen to what she said next. She said, because you need a weave as a black woman to look beautiful. Mind you, this was a black African woman speaking. I encountered many of these scenarios, and together they changed my outlook and reminded me about personal authenticity. But I was also tired of trying so hard to be a city girl. In fact, I think we can all attest to the fact that it's very tiring to try and be something that you are not. And so I woke up one day, and I no longer wanted to be anyone but myself. In fact, I wanted to go out to the world and highlight the things that were unique and authentic about myself and my culture. I looked back at my life in the village and found inspiration. And like my mother, I wanted to use my time or to do the type of work that showcases the beauty of Africa. And with this found inspiration, I started a business. I noticed that as I started to present my authentic self to the world, that the world became a wonderful place again. I worked really hard and was soon working with the Department of Arts and Culture, creating authentic ideas to preserve South Africa's heritage. I learned that the village girl in me was indeed my biggest asset, and that it is what sets me apart from the rest. Through my travels, I began to learn about art and fell in love with it. And one day, while sitting on my hotel balcony in Paris, I decided that I wanted to be an art dealer. I wanted to open a contemporary art gallery in South Africa that showcases the best art that South Africa has to offer. A few months later, with the help of my wonderful mentors, we launched Sibisi Gallery, named after my maiden name. And I became the first Black woman in South Africa to ever own an art gallery. Before this moment, it took me almost a decade of getting lost to finally feeling like I found myself. That feeling of I'm finally home. But at the same time, I don't think we really ever stop trying to find ourselves. I learned many lessons during my journey, and these are some of the lessons that I learned. Be yourself, and the rest will follow. Know where you come from, so you may know where you are going. Take pride in your authentic self, because it is what makes you unique in the world. Your personal authenticity is your most valuable asset. It was my mother who instilled this love of culture in me, and now it is my responsibility to instill it in my children. Culture molds us and gives us a sense of being. I want people everywhere to know the importance of culture. I want mothers to know that they are the carriers of culture. Especially women, we need to know that we are teachers of oral tradition, and therefore we are oral historians. As you can see, I'm pregnant. I'm expecting twins. I'm expecting twins, and so this talk is for my children to come. This talk is also for my son, who is already here, but I want this talk to also be for your children. In Africa, we say it takes a village to raise a child. And in terms of Ubuntu, it is our responsibility to raise our children and build them a better world. As I finish this talk, I want each and every one of us to look within ourselves and ask ourselves these questions. Am I currently representing my culture? Or am I so immersed in modern society that I have forgotten my roots? What message am I passing on to the next generation? Am I passing on a true identity, or am I passing on an identity that is distorted? What am I doing to preserve my culture? Am I my authentic self? As for me, Thandi Sibisi, I have learned to take pride in my authenticity. I have learned to stand proud in my position as an African woman, knowing that I have a lot to offer to the world. I am not defined by the status quo. I am standing here as an authentic African woman, and at the same time, being a modern woman, embracing and understanding that I can be both and that I can choose what works for me. Thank you.